Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Gravity Throttle Racing Sand Dunes track. My name is Aaron Tate.
And this is Richard Gere. Hey, let's talk about the Great Sand Dunes Showdown. We have 83 entries so far, and a few more are going to arrive very soon. This is an amazing turnout on this brand new track. We know the top 48 automatically qualify for racing. What about the rest?
This is where you, the fans, can help us decide by leaving a comment in the comment section. Hey, Richard, is that Barlow over there?
No, that's Vin Diesel.
Oh, that's too bad. I really wanted his autograph.
I'm just kidding. That is Arlo.
Oh, really? I'll be right back.
I don't think you want to be over there and bother him right now.
All right.
Okay, you're looking at the first 12 entries of our time trials. Each car will get 3 runs down the track in lane 2. Now, for the sake of time, we're only going to show the fastest run, but we will post all the times at the end of the video.
Use the hyperlinks in the description of this video to go to a specific driver, or just sit back and watch the whole video. Are you tracking?
The GTR producers decided it was very important for the drivers to get instant feedback, even on the time trials. Now you look here, we've got an amazing looking Humvee that Bolo Brown is driving. Now he's at 58 grams, and at first there was a bit of concern because the max weight is 70 grams, but look at him carry over the rocks, and he is looking quite smooth. I know that if you're new to the track, it looks unfamiliar to you, but he is over the sand dunes in good fashion. He did a very nice job. He was consistent on all of his runs. This was the fastest, and we want to apologize for the less than accurate camera view, and that poor tree took a big hit. Now look over on the right side of the screen and you can barely see the finish line, which is at the base of the jump. And now, from EP Videos, we've got Big Cat, and he was in the Baja Bouncer competition. He took his Baja Bouncer, added some more weight, and was ready with knobby tires to hit the track on the sand dunes. There we go, and over the rocks he looks smooth. You can see him coming around over the log and down into the sand. Now, that is looking quite good, and he was particularly fast through this sand at the Great Sand Dunes. Watch how consistent and smooth. Around the turn, up over the hill, and again, we can't see him that well on the half pipe, but lots of control. Another bash into the tree, and a 17.5872. This is Dutch Vandership. Now, Dutch was the grand champion of the Baja Bison tournament. He came to us this time with this Baja truck. Now, Dutch on his first run was unable to break 20 seconds and had an unfortunate accident in run number 2. This is the third and final attempt. He does pretty well through the rocks. He gets slowed up just a little bit, and we're not sure exactly why that happened. You can see he slowed up slightly through the sand dunes, but he does maintain good control. You see it's very solid around the turn. A little bit of air coming off of that turn, and nicely done through the half pipe. Good landing. Dutch managed to break 20 seconds, and he was at a 19.7415. Now from Oregon, we have Raggin' Ricky, and he's driving a really cool-looking Chrysler Pacifica. Now, unfortunately for Ricky, the first 2 runs ended up in a DNF. We weren't sure why. This was the third and final run, and you can see from the start, he's going over the rocks just fine, making it over the log and into the sand dunes. Things are looking pretty good. Now, the first 2 DNFs came, we think, as a result of the truck being a little too aft-loaded. He had trouble around this turn, but this time, he got some air. And now, onto the half pipe. You see the front end pull up, and that slows him down. He ends up in the coal car, but with an 18.6501, that's a fast time. Next up, we have Bashin' Brenda. Now, she is the wife of Raggin' Ricky, and she decided to build a beautiful Baja Bug. It comes in at 45.5 grams. That seems a little light with a 70-gram max, but let's see how she does. After a DNF on the first start and a finish on the second one, the third was the fastest time. You can see at the lighter weight, she had a little bit more trouble, and you can see it's slowing down as we come to the sand dunes. But this little bug is very stable. And coming around, look at that nice little turn, and up over the hill, she goes into the half pipe and just cruises right on through and into the coal car with a 22.5055. Here we have Jabo with Squab Racing. He's a familiar face here at Gravity Throttle Racing in a Volvo. Now, he modified the suspension. There is some give. I don't think it's too squishy, but he did seem to have a little trouble with the suspension rocking to the left or right, and it seemed to slow him down. But let's watch here on the fastest time. So far, so good, but you can see a little bit of shaking side to side. Now over the sand dunes, things are looking pretty fair, and then you can see he got spun around. And again, we wonder if the lateral instability of that modified suspension tended to slow him up. He backs his way right through the finish line and onto the coal cars with a 22.1176. Here we have Lieutenant Dan Backdraft with Old Sarge Race Group. Now, Old Sarge, he's been in the Braggin' Wagon competition at Chavano Mountain Raceway. His Baja truck comes in at 46.5 grams. And just like bashing Brenda, that light weight slowed him up over the rocks a little bit. You can see he's coming through, but just not quite at the speed as some of the other heavier drivers. And gets slowed up on the dunes for a split second, but now he continues around the pretzel turn, a little bit loose, and now up over the hill. He lost a little bit of energy with some shimmying, and down, and we lose him. We lose him from the camera sight, but he comes in with a 22.3510. Now you're looking at the Swedish Jeff, and he's from Sweden. This is a gorgeous big old Sandblaster Ford F-150. Let's see here. This is his first attempt. All the runs were fairly decent. There's a nice, look at those big tires. He just goes right over that log and onto the sand dunes with good speed. And then enters into the pretzel turn, holds nice and steady, picking up some speed. There is a bit of an awkward wagging back and forth, but he comes through and hits over the jump, 18.7452. All right, here we go, race fans. The biggest question is, how in the world did Big Mike fit into that little mini ute? Those are some ginormous tires. Now, Big Mike is from New Zealand, and I gotta say, his 3 runs were quite fascinating. He had a 20-plus second run, a DNF. This was his second run, and just watch what goes on here. With a short wheelbase, you'd think he'd have trouble, but boy, look at him. He is scurrying over the sand dunes. Nicely done. Gets some air. He is cruising. He almost tips it sideways, comes over the finish line, lands it on his wheels, and ladies and gentlemen, he has a 17.5680. All right, now you're looking at Puff with Puff's Racing. He is a very familiar face with a Dodge D100 this time at nearly 63 grams. Now, if I were in Puff's shoes, I'd be pretty happy with 3 times. He did not DNF. He had 3 times. This is the fastest time, which happens to be run number 1. Take a look carefully as he's coming along in his Dodge D100, not slowed up too much and hitting the sand dunes, cruising along pretty nicely. Here he comes in the pretzel turn, taking it from the outside, and now look at the speed as he comes in. Woo! Slips it over. Oh, he does get caught in the coal train, but he has an 18.4246. For the last 2 time trials, we've got a father and son team, and this is the son. We've got Rex. Now, if my memory serves me correct, he's a 10-year-old. He built this Raptor himself, and Raptor Racing is about to hit the track now. Here he goes through the rocks. He does seem to get slowed up, you can tell. He's struggling to come through, but this is not bad news as he starts to pick up speed and hits the dunes. You can see the momentum building. He comes around the pretzel turn and takes it very smoothly. Here he comes. And down, look at the speed is picking up and onto the half pipe. He keeps it low and jumps over the finish jump on his wheels. That's important. With a 20.2685. Now, the last time trial for day 1 is Strike, and he's very familiar to us. He's driving that Dodge D100. Strike was pleased. He had finished all 3 runs. This is run number 1 on the Sand Dunes Showdown. He makes it over the rocks, and you can see he's starting to pick up speed, looking smooth as he makes his way onto the sand. Slowed up just a little bit, heading over the sand dunes, but now, coming around the turn, he holds it together, and now the speed is picking up, and you can see he's holding it low and jumps right over. Another beautiful finish, 19.4207.
Day 1 of the time trials is complete. All 12 drivers managed to get a time, and the pole sitter is EnZed Racing, Big Mike.
Stay tuned tomorrow night for day 2 of the time trials of the Great Sand Dune Showdown. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you are enjoying this new track. Let's do the dunes together.
Are you tracking?